Hey there, Pisces. Welcome to your reading for September 2025. Should be a very interesting month for you this month, Pisces, so let's dig into it. You have this Sphinx card. It says choose your words carefully. You have this talisman. It says you're destined to succeed. I definitely think, I'm not going to, do I think September is amazing? I don't know, but, I think it's definitely one of those months where if things go well, they're going to go very well. If they don't, then they won't, right? It's kind of like one of those energies, but I actually think that for you, Pisces, it's going to be pretty easy to navigate, especially we have this eclipse on the 7th this lunar eclipse that's going to be happening in Pisces on the 7th, I should say. And, this eclipse is definitely critically important, I would say, for you, Pisces, because you've been dealing with Neptune in your own sign for a long ass time. And Neptune will be retrograding back into Pisces soon enough. But, the thing about having Neptune in Pisces is, number one, I think a lot of astrologers are wrong when they say that, Neptune rules Pisces. Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. I will always argue that I've looked at 1 billion Pisces charts, and every single one I look at, I can see that Jupiter rules that Pisces chart, right? And so I think Jupiter is still the ruler of Pisces, of course, and I don't think that's ever really changed. And Neptune, I think, even for Pisces, even though it is a water planet, to me it can still be very confusing and all this other stuff. So what am I babbling on about? Well, number one, this eclipse in Pisces is all about breaking the illusion, right? And so, I kind of get this feeling, in your first row here, for your current general energies, you have the 8 of Cups, 3 of Wands, Devil. I get this feeling that you could be snapping out of something with the 8 of Cups, and that's kind of the best way I can describe it. The funny thing is that the 8 of Cups is the only card in the tarot with an eclipse on it. So, it's like literally talking about about the eclipse coming up in this reading. The other interesting thing is that, Saturn on the 1st of September will be retrograde, entering back into Pisces, because Saturn is retrograding in Aries at the time of me recording this video. Sorry, I have the hiccups now. So Saturn is retrograding on its way back, but that Saturn energy retrograde into Pisces, I actually also feel pretty good about, because I think I said this to you in one of your recent readings that anything that you've been putting long-term effort in, you could be getting a lot better results based off of the effort you're putting into things like long-term projects and things like that. Again, I think it's also an amazing time, Pisces. If you haven't been putting long-term effort into something, it's a great time to start, because again, you will get the benefits, especially for the next few years. I think it is an amazing time for Pisces that want to build something that requires either long-term effort or a solid foundation. That could include doing something like writing a book, right, is a great example, because, it can take months at least to write a book. And, but that Saturn energy really rewards sustained effort, right? And so that is, kind of like another key word that's popping into my head for you here, Pisces. The interesting thing about the 8 of Cups, the reason I think that it's popping into my head with the 8 of Cups is that you could be looking at literally everything in your life this month of September, and you could be also saying, these things, or, people, places, and things in my life, either they do provide you with effort or not, meaning there could be people where you can clearly see, oh, this person puts in the effort with me. Now, I'm not just talking about love, I'm talking about everything. Again, this month will be everything for you, Pisces, right? It's not going to be one thing or the other, for sure. Definitely with this eclipse and all the other things that are going on. And so, again, it's you could be seeing that. Same thing if you have a job. It's you could be looking at the job and you could be saying, I put this into it, but it gives me XYZ back. It's, is it worth it or not? And so a lot of you are kind of probably going to be looking at things that provide sustained effort as well. But you'll also be looking at things that you can put sustained effort into, because those are the things that are going to, lead to the best and most success for you. And yeah, looks amazing. You have the Three of Wands. Three of Wands is like growth and expansion. It's an amazing time for Pisces to again focus on things that grow. Like I said, anything that grows, we have to nurture. Nurturing energy is sustained effort, plain and simple. So, anything, long-term effort basically is what will bring you rewards. And again, that doesn't mean that you won't get rewards right now. Sometimes I say this and people are like, I don't want to wait. I'm like, well, you're not really waiting. You'll get rewards along the way, but again, it's like something will pay off more over time, which is more worth it. And so, especially for you Pisces right now. The other thing I'm getting here is like, I feel like, Saturn, the thing about Saturn retrograde in your first is that it can bring recognition into your life as well. And so that's kind of popping into my head here with the Three of Wands is that there could be some opportunity for you to receive recognition, to stand out, to get attention, like in work or business or whatever else you're doing in your life. But the Three of Wands kind of says like you have to do more to get more recognition. So I would say not even just this month, but for the next few months, it might be a good time, really until like February, your birth time of next year, literally. Basically Saturn, literally leaves almost on your birthday, right? Saturn enters back into Aries, I think on February 23rd. So, a few days after your birthday, right? Your birth time. And again, I realize not all of you are born on the 19th of February, but still, again, I'm saying Pisces in general, right? So again, it's pretty interesting that happens, but I would be doing something to stand out this month, especially September. I would start now. And again, it might take until February to see the results, but it will be worth it. So I would put the work in. No surprise here, you have the Devil again, Saturn retrograding into your sign. If you want to be super technical about it, the Devil is Saturn in Capricorn, right? A lot of people read this card as Capricorn, even me. I read the Devil as Capricorn, but again, if you want to be super anal tarot reader technical about it, it's Saturn and Capricorn, this card. But again, to me, it can still be Capricorn energy. But I feel that it also could just be Saturn energy, right? This card can represent control and things that have been controlling you. I feel like with that Eight of Cups, like I said, you're snapping out of something. It's like you're breaking an illusion or, breaking free from something that's maybe had control over you for a long time, and you're just moving forward. Again, I feel pretty good about it, actually, so, I don't know. There you go. That looks good to me. Let's see here, Pisces, what's going on for you. With the Eight of Cups, you have the Star. Yes, again, make a wish, number one, is what I would say here. But I would also say that, again, there could be some rewards coming in for you. It is not a bad month. Again, I think that it could be if you don't take responsibility for things, but that's not even like a warning. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not even something I would worry about. Saturn will make you more responsible, but I would just make sure you're taking responsibility for things. And, anything that comes to the surface, right? We're kind of like in this time of exposure. I think it's no mistake, again, I think it's no mistake that Neptune is basically retrograding basically at the same time Saturn is back into Pisces, right? Neptune's going to take a little longer, but basically at the same time. And so the interesting thing about that, sorry, I'm all alone and I just heard a noise, I don't really know what that was. This is like the third time this has happened in your video, Pisces, but whatever. So again, I think that for a lot of you, it's like there are things coming to the surface that you need to expose, like inner feelings, admitting that you actually want things, right? Sometimes I think that's important. Like if we want something, I think we have to claim it unapologetically, right? And what I mean by that is like, some people will say, I want to make $10 million, but I would be happy with 1 million. And what I mean by unapologetically is if you want something in life, you need to say, this is what I want, and that's it. Don't say I want 10 million but I'd be okay with 1. No, you need to go for 10, right? It's almost like this card says you're destined to succeed. So it's like, why not? That first card there says that. It's like saying, why not go for the stars? It's almost like that's what I want to say on that card. With the Three of Wands, you have the World card. Yeah, it is a good time for adventure, variety. It's a good time to get out into the world. I remember what I just said about recognition, Pisces, but it's almost like here's the difference. Saturn retrograding into your first, like it is for you, is good for recognition. But, we have to do something to get that recognition. So it's like, if you're coming up with any crazy, wild ideas on how to stand out in work or how to stand out in love or whatever it is you want, definitely a very good time for that. With the Devil, you have the Seven of Cups. I would be careful of people who are trying to confuse you at this time, Pisces, for sure. That's literally what's popping into my head. Like anyone who's trying to cause confusion or like muddy the waters, or anyone who isn't clear, or anyone who doesn't, I have a million things literally popping into my head. It's like, you could be working with people who don't understand, like are maybe not understanding what you're trying to say. Like I would be careful of confused people in general, and make sure that you're kind of like focusing on people who are clear. I don't know, that's popping into my head. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you this month of September, you have this lone wolf. It says, listen to your inner wolf and embrace your sacred wild nature that thirsts for freedom. You have this divine intelligence. It says, to connect with your higher self, you must first create space to listen. Yes, star card, very spiritual. Star card is a great card, but it can definitely be a spiritual card where we have to, kind of connect. I think that, again, the best way I can describe the energy with the eclipse, with Saturn, kind of going back into your first there and all that other stuff, is it's like things are bubbling to the surface. Inner truths, inner, things that you've always wanted in your life, new ideas, new directions, pretty much all that, right? And this is divine intelligence coming in for you. And I think the Lone Wolf card is saying you need to have the confidence to, work on those things, or to embrace those truths that are bubbling to the surface. And, that's what I would focus on here, Pisces. You have the Page of Pentacles, the Knight of Swords, and the Two of Pentacles. I am getting a little bit of a love message here. I think you need to... It's like, I don't know what to say here, Pisces. It's like, sometimes I think, it's like in love, it's like a person can say they like us, but how there's like, I don't know. It's like, have you ever been with a person where it's like they don't really, like, it's like they claim they like you and all these things, but they don't really do anything? I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It's almost like, I think that what you need is that burning, firing passion. I feel that's what I should be seeing in this reading, just intuitively. That's like what I feel like is missing almost as far as love is concerned. It's like, you shouldn't just be with a person who's like lukewarm with you. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the universe wants you to be with a person where it's like very freaking clear that they are interested, and also where it's like there's clear desire. You know what I mean? It's like, this to me feels just like, I don't know, it just feels like little bits, little bits, right? And I just feel like there need to be big bits here. That's what she said, but I feel like there needs to be more passion or something. So it's like, I don't know if this is, I wouldn't really call this a warning, but I feel like it's saying, if you're dealing with a person, and let's say you meet a person this month and they're just kind of like lukewarm, I would tell them to go pound sand, Pisces, is what I would say. It's almost like, I feel like the universe wants Pisces to be in that energy of being clear about what they want. It's like, if you say that you want a person that is a certain way, if you have a person that comes into your life that isn't like that, it's like, no hate to that person. You don't have to be a jerk or anything like that, but it is fine to say, that person's not right for me. Pound sand, right? And that's, I don't know, that's popping into my head here with this card. You have the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords is rushing energy. Now, if you do this to a person, that it could snap them out of it, which is kind of funny that that's popping into my head. Like, it's like, maybe if you are dealing with a person like that, that might wake them up, and it could turn them into a person who becomes passionate, although I don't really feel that for a lot of you. I feel like this card is saying that you need to continue your march forward, basically. Sometimes I feel in a reading that the Knight of Swords, he's getting to whatever the next card is in the reading, and he's choosing to run back to the past, right? And so, again, this might not be accurate, Tarot, but, I don't know, at least for me it is. I feel like sometimes he basically says, don't turn around, Pisces. And it's funny that your next card is you being the king, right? It's almost like this part of the reading is saying, there might be opportunities, or there might be things that you get a little bit scared of this month in September, but I also feel charging through those little fears is going to be the thing that makes you very successful. Again, with Saturn in your first, it could just be little bits. That's what I'm going to title this reading now, is little bits or something like that. It's like little bits more of effort. It's like, it's like sometimes, I don't know, like I've talked to people in the past where they, they work with clients, right? And maybe they get a client that they would charge more money for, and then they get scared because it's like more money. And, so they don't work, they end up ruining it, right? And I feel like this is saying, don't be scared of an extra zero, at the end of something. That's what I mean by like a little bit more effort. It's like you might be thinking that something is going to be more work this month or something, but maybe it's really not. Maybe it's a little bit more work, but you can handle it. And I feel like you need to believe that you can handle things with those cards. You have the Two of Pentacles. Yes, work hard, play hard is critically important for Pisces at this time to make sure they're balancing work and play. If you're working hard, make sure you're playing hard. If you're playing hard, make sure you're working hard, and all that other good stuff for sure. I talk about this all the time now, Pisces. With the Page of Pentacles, I'm like, this makes me wonder if you're waking someone up. I do feel that now. It's like some of you, it's like maybe you feel like someone's playing games or something. I don't really feel like you feel like they're playing games. I just think that there's no fire. If you meet a person this month, some of you, I feel like have already met this person. But it's like, I think you're thinking to yourself, and it's probably true actually, based off this reading, that if you're talking to a person, it's like maybe they're not doing anything, or I don't know, but like they're just not flirting or something. But again, I feel like you could be waking this person up. I don't know, because it just seems to me like they're taking action. I also feel that anything new, Pisces, if you have any new ideas, hell yes, is what I would say there. Any, especially financially related ideas. I think anything new that you could do in work or business or career with your finances, even if you're retired, any new ideas there, I think would be amazing. With the Knight of Swords, you have the Knight of Pentacles. Told ya. It's like Knight of Pentacles is the only knight in the tarot that isn't making a move. Again, I think some of you, this could be a person that isn't making a move or isn't doing anything. I don't even think this is you. I think this is a person that's had their eye on you, and it's like you could be waking this person up somehow, maybe by ignoring them or decide. It's like, so, again, sometimes I think when we tell the universe, like, no, that's not what I want. I asked for something else, so this person can pound sand. It's like sometimes maybe that energetic shift changes things. You know what I mean? And so that's what I feel. The other interesting thing is it's like sometimes I feel, this is part of the thing that Pisces has to learn, is like Pisces will put up with a lot in love. So I think sometimes Pisces will put up with a person who doesn't put in any effort. And, I feel like this is basically by deciding like, no, I want effort, you're changing the energy here. And it's like, I don't think this person, it's not that they like won't put in effort. I feel like for whatever reason, there's something going on right now where they're not. So there you go. With the Two of Pentacles, yes, I think you are bossing up, Pisces. I think you need to be more King of Wands-like. I think this would be an amazing energy for you to work with, right? The King of Wands energy, being bold, being assertive, being confident, practicing confidence, which we have to practice, of course. But also, I think something people forget about the King of Wands is that he has the gift of foresight. He is kind of like he is a little bit of visionary, he kind of has these visionary ideas, and it's an amazing time for visionary ideas for you, Pisces. Like any innovative ideas, any new ideas, any, if you have anything that, like any ideas that pop into your head for anything, and you think to yourself, no one's done this before, you're probably right. And you probably should work on whatever those ideas are, plain and simple. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this fulfillment card and this gateway card. I think you are standing in front of a gateway to fulfillment. Like unicorn, how Piscean is that, right? If there was anyone on Earth who would own a unicorn, it would be a Pisces for sure. So, I think for a lot of you that you're standing in front of this gateway to like fulfillment and unicorns and whatever else you're into, Pisces, probably like other weird stuff, but again, I think that you're kind of like on this journey. You have the Ten of Swords, the King of Cups, and Three of Pentacles. I feel like the Ten of Swords is saying, like, don't be afraid to let things die. It is a good time for that for you, Pisces. Like, if there are just things that... This is the thing with the eclipse, right? Is that you're breaking illusions, but this eclipse, I think, will be like a snap. Like, where you just literally kind of snap out of things, but not in a bad way. It's like you could be, maybe you've been doing something for 20 years and you just wake up maybe literally on the 7th of September and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And you just stop, literally. Like that literally could be something that happens. But, again, I think this is saying like, don't be afraid to, let go of those things that you thought you would be doing for a long time. Because the Ten of Swords, he's making this symbol with his hand here that represents a blessing in disguise. So, there definitely could be a blessing coming in for you based off of like letting something go. It is also, by the way, definitely Saturn retrograding into your first is amazing for letting anything go from the past, like literally anything that you want to clear out. There could be things from when you were like 2 years old that you want to clear out. I think I said this to you in your last reading as well. The whatever that bonus reading was that I did, but it's like any traumas, anything that you've been through, a kid who called you a name on the playground when you were 5, whatever, like letting those things go with, Saturn is very karmic, and we're in a very karmic Piscean time because we have the North Node in Pisces as well. And so if there was like ever a time where you could like change certain like patterns that you have been repeating because of karma or whatever, like now would be the time, Pisces, to work on that. I feel like the King of Cups is you showing up in a very strong position. I do feel like Pisces is becoming more of like a king. I feel that we talked about recognition and receiving recognition at the beginning of the reading, and how you need to maybe do things that could bring you more recognition. So I would be doing all that. I can't get it off the table, but you have the Three of Pentacles here. Yeah, it's an amazing time for teamwork. And, again, I think this is just good for teamwork. It's an amazing time to get recognition on your work as well. Again, this is the card of recognition. That's why we were talking about recognition with the star, because the star can also represent recognition. But he's putting his work on display here, Pisces, and he's getting attention for the work that he's done. So, again, I kind of feel that energy for you. I feel like, and Pisces, I will say it again, it's like popping into my head. I feel like you need... I'm not telling you what to do. Like, you can do whatever you want, right? But like in love, I feel that it's time. Like the message I'm getting here is it's time for you to be admired, like genuinely. It's time for you to be the one that receives the admiration of the other person. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's very different. And I do think Pisces is probably normally the one who does the adoring in a relationship. Like it's usually the Pisces, right? But it's almost like there's something about this reading that's saying you need to make sure. And again, I'm not telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want. But if I were you, which I am, I would make sure that if I'm ending up with a person or meeting people at this time, that the people I end up with or the person I end up with is like the one adoring me, or more. That doesn't mean you can't adore that person or anything, but it's like I think you are too used to the complete opposite, where it's like you give someone attention, they give you 0, right? Breadcrumbs. And that needs to change. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Ace of Swords. Yes, victories. I mean, it's an amazing time for victories. These victories are not necessarily going to be easy. Again, the key word for you is long-term, Pisces. Like anything that you can work on that is going to require sustained effort, meaning more than just a day, more than 2 months, something that you're going to work on for years, then, those are the things that are going to bring these victories. You could be experiencing a victory after a difficult ending as well. With the King of Cups, you have the Nine of Cups. Yes, I think it's time for Pisces to get what they've been wishing for. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but, definitely I think this is good for you, Pisces. You definitely could be getting a wish. With the Three of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Pentacles. Four of Cups wanted to pop out when I pulled the Queen of Pentacles. So, number one, amazing for money. I think a lot of you could be improving your finances this month and becoming more responsible. You definitely are going to be doing this over the next several years anyway, with Saturn also going into your second in February of next year, right? It's already been there. It's there right now. But, officially, Saturn moves into Aries next year in February to stay, and it won't retrograde out again. So, again, I think a lot of you could be getting kind of like the rewards for that, or you could be getting a lot of benefits. I really do feel, like I've said before, that Saturn with that Neptune, it's a blessing. I said it when Neptune was in Pisces, that kind of having Saturn come in at the end of Neptune and Pisces, total blessing, I think. Because if Saturn wasn't there, I think there would be a lot more illusions in the world, and that we would never break out of. But Saturn is allowing us to do that. Next year, both of them, Neptune in January, Saturn in February, move into Aries. Again, same thing. I think this is going to be amazing for your finances because it's going to help you, see the problems or, kind of break any illusions there. But I also think you're just going to have good ideas that will probably make you more money. So there you go. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this feminine energy and intuition card, Pisces, right? That's if there were signs on these cards, Pisces would be the sign of that card. You have this viewpoints card as well. Yeah, I think you're getting better points of view. I think your focus is better as well. You start with the Eight of Wands. It's almost like saying to me that you are, like, I feel like you're more focused this month just in general. I mean, maybe you're just more able to focus on the right things, or things, maybe you just feel more focused, less ADHD to me. As an ADHD person, I totally understand that. But, again, it feels like you feel more focused, more driven, which, again, Saturn can definitely make you feel more driven and motivated, kind of. Especially if you're working with the energy, right? Which I already told you how to do that. Sustained effort, plain and simple. Eight of Wands also says you could find yourself being very popular this month, Pisces. That wouldn't surprise me either. So you could be getting a lot of attention or standing out. You have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords can be like lying, cheating, stealing, but it's coming up in the good stuff. So again, Seven of Swords, and really there's nothing else in this reading that would really say that except for the Devil, but it's coming up at the beginning. I would still pay attention, but Seven of Swords, he's going to war, but in a different way. Again, I think it's an amazing, innovative time for you, Pisces. Even Uranus and Gemini for you. I mean, it's like, if you come up with other ways of doing things. I said this earlier. But I think there's something about you thinking. It's like you think that something is new, and it is. And so, again, you might be coming up with some brilliant ideas this month. And I would put, anything that's like bubbling to the surface. Like, these are little bubbles, it's like they come up, they burst. And, I think you have to like capture those ideas and do something with them. That would be a very good idea. You have the Justice card. Again, Saturn in your sign definitely can, especially since it's been in your sign and it's kind of like retrograding back in, to the sign of Pisces. That type of action with Saturn can definitely bring in karma or positive karma, good karma, good things that you've been through. Especially again, if you have been putting the long-term effort into anything, if you've been doing the work and healing. And again, as I said, even if you haven't, now would be a great time to start, because if you do, you will also get the rewards. With the Eight of Wands, you have the Moon. Yeah, I think your intuition is on point this month. The Moon and the good stuff basically says your intuition is on point. So I think a lot of you, it's just saying trust your intuition. With the Seven of Swords, you have the Lovers. Definitely could be love coming in here. But again, different approach, right? Seven of Swords, it's coming up in the good stuff, but, this could be a different approach of a person, coming in for you. They could be taking a different approach or something. I don't know. I still don't know. Honestly, Pisces, I don't know how I feel about love in this reading. Just astrologically, it is a good time for love, as I've been saying to you. But, I don't know. This feels something here, Pisces. I would pay attention. And again, if maybe what this boils down to, Pisces, is that you shouldn't just accept a person just so that you're not alone. It kind of gives me that feeling where it's like maybe you meet a person this month, and because they give you a breadcrumb of attention, you're like, oh my God, I'll marry this person, right? Typical Pisces, right? Pisces, it's like if someone gives them a little bit of attention, they're like, oh my God, finally I don't have to be alone. And but really you will be alone, but you'll be alone, but which is worse. I think it's worse to be with a person and to be alone, basically, right? Where it's like they ignore you, they don't pay attention to you, and things like that. Like that is so much worse. And I think it's time for you to value yourself. I think it's time for you to say like, no, I deserve. And I think that's sometimes what we have to do with the universe is we have to claim it. So if the universe brings us someone and they're not right, we just have to say, no, this isn't right. I'd rather be alone than be with someone who's not even going to look at me, right? Or whatever, right? I think you need to find a person who adores you, It's like, it's your turn, Pisces, is what I feel. So there you go. Here you go. Wouldn't even worry about it, Pisces. With the Justice card, you have the Page of Cups. So clearly, there is a good person that probably will adore you, that will, where's that other deck? Oh, right here. I think, you will find that person who adores you. I think there is an admirer here. Part of me, like maybe for like 30% of you or something, I feel that some of you are waking a person up. Like if you've been dealing with a person, for a little while who's been too slow, it's like by you kind of like saying, no, I'm not going to deal with this. It's like that might snap them out of it. And, especially if they're not doing this on purpose. Some people are just slow. Some people just, take their time, right? And so, as long as this person isn't toxic, you could be snapping them out of it, which would be good. You have this achievement card. Yes, it is a time of achievements. I think it would be a great month for you to plan an achievement. Again, Saturn retrograde in your sign. I would, like, literally, I am going to do this. I just made the decision right now. Like, I would have some sort of goal that you complete by the end of the month, like whatever it is, right? And it doesn't even have to be that big. But, if you get into that energy of achieving things, you'll achieve more, especially with Saturn. You have this criticism card. Yeah, Pisces, this is something you have to deal with until March of next year. There's something going on in your astrology. I think I've said this to you before, where you definitely could find that people are more critical and all this other stuff. I think the best thing for you to do would be to ignore it and just not even, worry about it, right? I know that's hard, but that's what I would do. You have this revenge card here. I would be careful of anyone from the past. Devil, Ten of Swords, Seven of Swords. I'm not saying that anyone's going to do anything, but I would be careful of that. I would be careful of anyone who would want to get revenge. I would just ignore it, like I said. You have this concentration card, Eight of Wands. I said it on that Eight of Wands. I think that you are very focused this month, or you need to be, and I think that'll lead to a lot more success. Here you go. You have this acquisition card. Yeah, definitely could be a right person coming in for you, Pisces, if you want love. Part of me is wondering if you have to say no to something just out loud to the universe, not to anyone else. You're not saying it to anyone. You're just saying to the universe, no, I'm not going to waste my time on this. You can bring me something better, or that's it, right? That's all I'm willing to accept. And so I think if you have that type of attitude, for those of you that want love, that would be the best thing. So that's what I'd do there. But very interesting reading. Your reading definitely fits in extremely well with the astrology that you'll be experiencing this month, which is always nice. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your month.